friends, and welcome to the Carolina Wedding Partners podcast. My name is Jessica. I'm the owner and artist of Tidelines Luxury Mobile Tanning.
And I'm Christine, and owner of Beauty Bar Bridal Salon, and this is the CWP podcast.
Today, we're going to talk all about how we met, how CWP came to be what it is today, and some of the fun lessons we've learned along the way. So
let's talk about how we met.
Okay.
And that's truly how CWP started, and it was kind of like divine timing. So let's talk a little bit about how you became one of my vendors for Carolina Wedding Fair.
Yeah, so it all starts with the Carolina Wedding Fair. I was a brand new baby sunless artist, so looking to break into the bridal space. And along the way, I met you through the wedding fair. Really started to build my network through the wedding fair and learn about weddings in this area. I watched you put on such an amazing event with intentionality and so much grace through that very hectic event that was humongous, by the way. So I wanted to sit down with you almost as a business coach to kind of walk me through what I was getting into. And it's all kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell our audience kind of about that very first meeting?
Yeah, it was so fun. Jess had reached out to me actually during wedding fair. I was like, hey, after Carolina Wedding Fair, can we sit down together and just like talk business? And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I jumped on the idea and we sat down together and we talked a little bit about how she was trying to fill a need in her life and how I just needed more friends. And it turned into a really exciting conversation about how the community needed a community.
Yeah.
I remember that vendors at Carolina Wedding Fair were asking for more events like this.
Myself included.
And Jess had asked me in that meeting, do you think that this area needs an association? And I was like, yes. I mean, I immediately jumped to the idea, yes. It's like, actually, the vendors are asking for something like this, but I just don't know how to start it. And I knew I needed somebody to help me. I couldn't do it on my own. And when she brought the topic up, I thought, you know what, this might be something great.
So our original framework for CWP was a bit of an association for wedding vendors, but I think once we really got to the meat and the nitty-gritty of what we wanted this community to be, an association almost boxed us in, right?
I felt like association is very rigid. There's a lot of rules.
There is.
And while we wanted it to be very organized, we also wanted people to feel comfortable.
So that was one of the early challenges that we kind of faced, I guess, was we knew almost what the end result would be, but we didn't know how to really put it together. And I think through every stage of building this community, we've said we want a strong foundation, right? We're not ready to move to the next step of creating this community or the offers that we'll give to our couples until we know we have a strong foundation. We've got an amazing vendor team in place. They keep us on track. They really trust in what we're doing. And I think building the vendor community was first and foremost, right? Because we knew we had to have them before we could, have offers for couples.
For couples, exactly.
So talk to our listeners a little bit about how, what the framework or what the criteria was for our very first member community.
Yeah, so I think what we kind of built it on was Carolina Wedding Fair, right? So it all started with this event, this idea to gather the vendors together and show couples how great we are in this area for weddings. So we took that idea and we decided, let's bring them together more frequently in events, not just a showcase event where they have to be on all the time, or not just through the weddings where they have to be on all the time. So we really wanted to have meetings, vendor blenders, what we call vendor blenders now, to have those vendors come together and feel comfortable and relaxed and learn about each other.
And how do you feel that hosting that space for vendors and kind of collecting them and learning about them on our end, how does that help couples looking to work with them?
Well, they're able to share what their uniques are, what makes their business them, and how they can showcase in a creative way.
I think it's really nice too that having a group of vendors that are all client-minded, all kind of on the same page per se, at the end of the day, for a client, knowing that kind of all the prep work has been done for them and that these are vendors who are truly going to perform at the level that these couples want them to be there, I feel like that gives a certain calm about the process that can sometimes feel really hectic.
Yeah, I agree. If the vendors have a community where they can feel comfortable, then they can showcase that into, trying to find their couples. And that kind of leads me into like our natural, like what we do naturally in
Like playing to our own strength.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
So like what are some of the things that you feel like when we started CWP, like you kind of took to that you just were like, oh yes, I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to thrive in CWP.
Well, I think moving from such a rigid community or a rigid profession at the hospital, because I'm healthcare based before I'm wedding based, really working with you and you giving me permission to just learn, like find something that feels natural to you, that plays to your strengths and that you enjoy, and then everything else from there just kind of blossomed into what we are. So I feel, and I think too, like I think from the outside, if people think like, oh, they're kind of like yin and yang, like our relation or our personalities are very different, but I think at like a foundational level, we're very alike.
Yeah.
Like I always say that I'm your actual twin and not your other twin.
I know, it's so funny. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I think at the core, we're both very organized, and we want to be able to show the vendors that organization is, key to their foundation and their business.
You can't downplay that.
Right. And I think when they see us organized and seeing everything kind of like we're doing the things that we say we want to do to help them, helps them feel more organized in their business.
We're definitely list girlies, definitely pen and paper girlies. But I also think something that is unique to our relationship that even some people in the beginning were kind of like, yeah, it can't be that easy, is that I trust that you are going to do what you say you're going to do, right? Like you and I come together and say, I'm going to tackle 1, 2, 3, and you're going to tackle 4, 5, 6. And I say, high five, and then we go about our way and do what we say we're going to do. So I feel like you are a spreadsheet girly. Numbers and the logic of mathematics make you really excited. It scares me to death. So I leave all of that to you. So we always joked in the early days that like you could totally run off and I would be like, okay.
No, and I feel like she could totally run off because she can make anything look pretty, and I try really hard to get on Canva and it just doesn't pan out. Like I try and then I send it to her and she's like, let me just zhuzh it a little bit.
But you have great ideas. Really, the very beginning, especially because we're kind of hinting at social media, that was like a trial by fire. You and I sat down together and said, what do we want to talk about? What do we need to get out to the people? And how the hell do we make it look good? And we did that together. But I do feel like my strengths lean a little more of like front of office. Where you have so much confidence. And honestly too, like because you've been in the industry for as long as you have, you kind of know where you're going, right? For the back office and what needs to be done. You're the real adult in this relationship. And you keep us on track and out of trouble with the
and I've been told for a very long time that like I'm the mom in every group. Like I'm always like, all right, like things are getting a little scary. Let's just back it down a little bit. So let's talk a little bit more about, we kind of serve two different people, right?
And at the same time with the same excitement.
So it can be a little bit confusing. In the very beginning when we started the business, I feel like we were very vendor focused because I personally, how I started Carolina Wedding Fair was because so many vendors were like, I need a place to showcase. And
that was the track we were already on.
Right. And then we were like, whoa, but like the couples need us too. So let's talk a little bit about how we are vendor focused and how we're couple focused. Let's start with the vendors.
So vendors are the heart of what we do.
Right.
We are not CWP without them. We have an incredible, we're coming into our second class of vendor members. And that we're growing like crazy, which is so great. We have such an amazing dynamic, such a great collection, like a real big picture, full picture wedding event crew. And we're so grateful for them. I think that for our community, having space for vendors, making sure they feel supported and that we can help them with their pain points so that in turn they can pour themselves into the parts of their business that they love, being very creative minded, but also knowing that business doesn't happen overnight, right? I think having the community support that vendors were lacking, that we saw as a need, and that you were told, I need this community, I need people to talk to, but then also for the vendors who might not always get out of their comfort zone, holding space through the events that we hold for them, I think is a huge benefit for the vendors that, yes, we hold space on the back end for you guys to collaborate and meet each other and get to know each other, but also we really push you out into these clients that need you.
I think that's so important.
Our vendors have what they need to succeed. I feel like just holding space and really encouraging them. But also for clients, in the same respect, clients want to go to one place and see at a glance, what do I need? And I think our ecosystem really fosters that for newly engaged couples. I think between our website, the events that we hold, and then our social media just kind of constantly being this evolving and growing, and we're bringing attention to things that clients might not be thinking about.
True.
You need a venue, you need an officiant, you need a groom or bride, right? Like that is the base of what you need to get married. But thinking about before your wedding, that's where we come in with beauty services. After your wedding, you think during the event, a live painter, or where are you going to get your dress? What are you going to do with your dress after you wear it? Bringing attention to those things, and at the same time bringing those vendors in to say, yes, you are just as much a part of the wedding community as a florist.
Like, we're going to hold your hand.
Of a planner.
We've got a budget for you.
I
think that's what's really cool about this area, like Eastern North Carolina, is that like we're not holding up this standard of like you have to be these multi-million-dollar weddings.
We said a bajillion, right?
And it gives the couples comfort knowing that the budget can be anywhere, and they be able to hold their hand through that.
And our vendors are so dynamic in that you can go to you could start at any point on your vendor journey, or even if you come into our community and you already have some of your vendors and you're just looking to fill in those gaps. Our vendors are very dynamic in that there's one out there for every price point. I don't know that the average wedding vendor in our community specifically is like, well, what's your budget?
Right.
What do you want? At the end of the day, what is important to you? Tell me your love story. How did you meet?
And I feel like the
vendors
vendors
we'll create from there.
In this area do listen to those stories. They listen to what the couples need, and they almost create sometimes packages around their needs. I mean, I have talked to so many of our vendors, and I mean, just one recently, like I'm hosting a baby shower, and I was like, whoa, I don't know about this budget. And we toned it down a minute, and I was like, okay, yes, that does work for me and my budget, and it's still beautiful. So I don't think that there's this like, where your wedding doesn't have to be this high expectation. You can find things that meet those expectations without breaking the budget.
Well, and I think vendors and clients alike, we're all battling social media in the best way. I mean, social media is so helpful, and it's coming at you at a rapid speed, but the grandeur photos and these huge, like, beautiful arrangements and things like that, those cost millions of dollars to create. And that's why they're so popular on places like Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook groups and things like that. But it's like, okay, how do we take that vision and the aspects that you as the client like about those things and make them your own?
Right, scale it down, and fit it into your vision.
Absolutely. So let's talk next about what's coming up for Carolina Wedding Partners. We have the wedding fair coming up. We've got 2026 is just kind of wide open in front of us now. Tell our audience a little bit about what they can expect from us this year.
Okay, so let me back up just a minute and let you guys know that last year was so successful with our events that we are going to continue those events next year. So the next one coming up is Carolina Wedding Fair. That's like the bread and butter of our business. It's what we call a premier event. It's a huge wedding showcase that we are calling an original boutique experience, because a lot of what we've seen in the past has been very stale expo, very like,
Almost like a fairgrounds aspect.
And we want to change that. We want to change that for the industry. We want the couples to come to a space where they feel very comfortable, where the vendors feel very comfortable showcasing, and where you can have real conversations with those vendors.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day for us, it has to be intentional, or for us, it just doesn't feel fulfilling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like across the board, people feel the same way. Obviously, we've got the podcast.
Yeah,
and
so excited.
We are so excited to continue this and continue the conversation about how we can help vendors and couples.
And what we're seeing in the industry.
Yeah. And it's an ever-changing industry. I mean, we all know that this is something that changes frequently. I mean, before the year ends,
it's already all
changed.
different.
Like we already know what we're supposed to expect for 2020.
In one season, right?
Yeah.
You've got spring weddings and you've got a few summer weddings that get peppered in the middle, but what's in the spring and what's in the fall, completely different, which is exciting. It keeps it fun for us as vendors.
Yeah, and some of the other events I want to mention that have been really successful and that vendors really look forward to are our styled shoots.
Yeah.
It really gives people this like freedom to be super creative. And so like I feel like we're going to be doing a lot more of those.
And speaking of styled shoots, we have a styled shoot showcase in this year's Carolina Wedding Partners Preferred Vendor Directory.
Actually, we have like 2.
I know.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, that's our magazine that highlights local wedding features, the vendors that we work with. There's some amazing resources there that kind of play on that free resource library that we have online. But there'll be the styled shoot showcase. So all of the vendors that worked with us at our last event in June for that styled shoot will be
showcased in that
shout out
magazine. And then we have a whole new project because we needed to add more complications to our life.
Absolutely, because we need more things to do.
And I hate to say complication, but like every time we add a project, I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But then it comes together because we have amazing people that help us. So the exciting project that we want to talk about is our Carolina Bridal Box.
Yes, Carolina Bridal Box is an amazing offer for brides, newly engaged brides, or really brides in any stage of their planning season. It helps them, again, like we talked about earlier, thinking big picture when it comes to their wedding. So tell our audience kind of what's in those bridal boxes. What can they expect?
Yeah, so we have members in our community that have contributed items from their businesses that they want to share with our couples. And there's going to be a handful, more than a handful actually, of items in the box that can help you prepare for your planning process.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of business cards.
No, it's actual tangible items. It's things that you'll remember, things that will help you, things that make you feel good and comfy. And
the box itself turns into a beautiful keepsake where after your wedding you can put all of your memories in there and
your invitations, pictures, all kinds of stuff. And I think that the couples, the brides will really enjoy receiving them. They come out quarterly. The next one's debuting at Carolina Wedding Fair, which is February 20th and 21st at Weeks Farm.
Be around the corner.
Lots going on there. And if you want to find out more, obviously continue to follow us because there's tons of information on our platforms about it. But yeah, I think we completed our first episode.
This was so fun. You guys will never get rid of me now.
Yeah.
You're stuck with me forever. This is incredible. So thank you guys so much for joining us today on the very first episode of the Carolina Wedding Partners podcast.
Don't forget to follow, like, and share if you enjoyed it, because we're coming back, so you have no choice. Also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok. And all that is at Carolina Wedding Partners. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks so much. See you next time.